Hey, good morning, Cooper's Automotive. We've got a 2010 Nissan Altima SL 2.5 liter, and the rack and pinion's leaking. So I've already gotten into this job a little bit, prepped a lot of stuff so that I could get bolt sizes and things like that for you, and then move along. I haven't gotten it out of the vehicle yet. So I'm going to stop here, start the video, show you the tools you're going to need, take you through the steps that I've done so far, and then show you the rest of it as I pull it out. So stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so you're going to want to take this air cleaner box out right here. Sits right down in here. Has this piece and another one here, but right there, coming straight down through by the fuse box, is a 10 millimeter. You're going to take that out. Looks like this. Here we go. One right there. Right there. Okay. Next thing is down after you get the air cleaner, snorkel, top, air filter, all that out. It's straight down inside here. There's your, well, the light's so dang bright. There's your rack and pinion underneath those pipes that you see there. Let's get down inside there. Okay. Right behind that pipe, there's an 11 millimeter bolt going through the knuckle from the steering shaft down. And then over there, see the two hoses? There's a hose clamp on that you take off. 17 millimeter takes the other line off on that. So you take that. Now that steering knuckle on this one rusted up pretty good. So after you get that 12 millimeter bolt that holds that shaft in, come underneath the car with a large extension and a hammer, and you can knock that U-joint right up out of there. Now we're going to move on to the other things that we've got done so far. Now I just set my tools up here. Long extension, 12 millimeter swivel socket, your 12 millimeter bolt, that 10 from the air cleaner. I took the engine cover off. There's a little torque bit right there. If you want to know that, let's see what size that is. That's a T30, so that's your engine cover, which is these pieces right here, engine cover, and the actually I think that might be my, yeah, that's my lower cover. The upper cover's over there already. So coming back to our car, yeah, there's your air filter. And no, that's the lower cover. I'm all confused. Anyway, getting that out, you see your throttle bodies right there. Little 8 millimeter to take that off. And let's go take the car up, show you the rest where we're at. Let's walk through some tools real quick. You're going to need a 21 millimeter for the top nut that holds the rack and pinion in. You're going to need a 19 for the back side of the outer sway bar link. You're going to need a 14 millimeter for the power steering pressure line to remove that. Short little ratcheting wrench if you want to take the 12 millimeter knuckle out. I used a pair of vice grips to take the continuous tension clamp off. Regular vice grips because I had to go on the back side of the sway bar link and hold it because it was stripped on one side. Just pair of pliers, pair of cutter pliers, take the cutter keys out. You're going to need a impact or whatever you use. This is going to be a, what is this thing? That's a 19 millimeter, and that's for your tie rod nuts on the bottom. After you pull your keyways out, 19 millimeter, taking out your outer tie rod. The 17 is for your sway bar. That's an 18 actually. Your 18 for your outer sway bar. And let's go with this light over here. Oh, there's our rack and pinion unit we're putting in right there. Let's go ahead and get our part number out of the way. We're using this one right here, a Visions OE 310-0176. All right, so obviously you got to take your tires off. Tires on the ground, tires off. Right there, your sway bar link, right there, goes in that hole right there of the strut. After you do that on both sides, take the sway bar, push it all the way up. Right here is your tie rod. All right, you can see how rusty these are. I am not going to replace them. Pickle fork, I knocked these out with because I'm replacing the outer tie rods. So I'm not taking it apart. If you're going to save these, you don't want to use that. 19 millimeter in the bottom, nuts off. Tie rod tool across here and press up to knock it out if you're saving your outer tie rod. So through there's our rack and pinion. Right up through here, you can see now that steering knuckle has a little alignment plastic piece over the top of the rack and pinion. I'm gonna know a little bit more about that once we get it apart. Okay, underneath the bottom right here, right there, that's your rack and pinion bolt. It goes up through and the nuts on the top. Now I don't remember what size that is. Actually, I didn't get a size on that yet. Let me see exactly what that is. I'm going to start with a 20. That's going to be a 21, just like the 21 on the top. So let's see if I have that out here somewhere. Anyway, we will get one. A 21 on the bottom. Here it is. All right, so yeah, a 21 right there on the bottom. Okay, so I got to pause, put this on the tripod, and show you pulling the rack out. Okay, hopefully this works. There's a bracket right there. You see that? Has a 10 millimeter bolt on the back side of that. So you're going to take that bracket off. I got a 10 millimeter swivel, ball socket, and extension, and I'm coming back through the subframe on the back side. A little wiring harness going up through there. It's for the O2 sensor, I believe, on the back. Yes, rear O2 sensor is what that bracket goes to right there. So that's a 10. Let's see what I've got next. Now you got another bracket there coming across that is holding some hoses on. The return hoses here coming across here. The pressure hose is right here going to that bracket also. And there's two 10s on underneath that on the bottom that you're going to want to take out, and they're on little rubber mounts. I have sprayed all these. This car's from New Jersey. We're in Tampa Bay area, Clearwater, Florida. This is October the 22nd, I believe, of 2020. So a couple 10s that I've got out there. Gonna see what else I need to do next. Okay, so that's gonna leave your lines back, and I hope you can see that right there. Yeah, it's behind that bracket there. Anyway, those come out. This one comes out. Yep, didn't need to knock our camera around. Let's get back in there. So, shooting up through there, way back inside of there is our 14 millimeters on our, I'm just trying to get a better picture for you guys. 14 millimeters for the lines that go on that back side. Okay, I'm not sure what you can see there exactly, but the lines are, let me see how we do this. Way back there, 14 mil. You can use a 14 mil, probably longer opening wrench to get it off. After you do that, get them loose. Go with a stubby 14 open, and can reach it through the front toward the bumper side in between there and get them out of there. I'm going to get a drain pan real quick because I haven't drained the antifreeze out yet. Give me just a second. Said antifreeze, that's how screwed up my thinking gets sometimes, so much on my mind. So the power steering fluid obviously is going to start running out of this thing. My help is out sick today. I don't know what the story is with him just yet. Anyway, I got my other mechanic back there working on an old Volkswagen. Fortunately for me, even as rusty as this thing is, things are coming apart pretty well. I really need to get that return line off of there. But there's pressure line is out. Now I'm going to work on the return line. Just going to take a long pry bar and see if I can just move it back while pulling on it. Now there's a nipple that goes in the rack right there. And that nipple that goes in the rack will have to come out and go into the new rack and pinion that we're installing. So we got fluid running out right now, making our mess, and we're going to go after the 21 top nut and the 21 lower nut. See if we can get that thing on out of there. That's the plan anyway. 21 upper nut is right here. Again, I don't know what we can see here. Let's see. Not bad. It's right there. Gonna hold that with your wrench as you spin the bottom nut. I bought this little DeWalt 1/2-inch drive, little small one, 20 volt max thing. Anyway, it works really well. So we got that out. Now we got to come to the other side and find the other 20 and do the same thing. Well, well, well. Just got to get my wrench on it. Get my wrench on it first. Got my hands all nice and coated with power steering fluid at the moment. Okay, I think I'm on it. I'm leaving my wrench up there. Gonna hold it against the, I just pulled it off. All right, one more time. Gonna hold it against the sway bars, what my thoughts were, with one hand as I was removing the bottom. All right, so I got my hand on it. Let's see how we do here. And we got that out of there. Trying to be careful not to drop too many things today. Reach up at the top, should be able to grab the nut that I just took off. Of course, I dropped it. It's right here though. Somewhere close to me anyway. We'll find it. That rack should be loose. It is. We got to continue to get our that out, our tie rod out. Now this is going to come out the driver's side. You're going to tilt it toward the engine a little bit after you get your bolts out. And technically, everything should slide out this side. Feels like we got something holding us a little bit. I'm just trying to see what it is. All right, I think we got one more line that I missed here. Hang on just a second. That line appears to be out of there. A little clippy that line goes into. You're gonna have to get that out of your way. And then just work it out. We got an electrical plug going to our rack and pinion A switch. There's a plug underneath the subframe. It unplugs that switch. All right, now we're cooking with Crisco. All right, so the rack is out. It's laid on the floor for a minute. I have to pause, clean up my hands, and then we'll continue with a little better picture of this. Okay, I'm back. Now, after I got that rack out, you're going to see that nipple right there. This one, all right, 17 millimeter, has an O-ring on it. Put a new O-ring on it and put it in. Now, something else you're going to run into, forgot about on these. This power steering, right here, that power steering pressure switch, all right? It's a 24 millimeter inside here. You cannot grab the can, you'll destroy this. I don't have a 24 millimeter. It's really, really thin. I bought these a long time ago. You grind them down, you put them in here, break that loose, has a new O-ring on it too, and screw it in. That's your switch plug that we talked about earlier about unplugging. Now, next thing, remember this right here? I count from that center there's a little divot hole in it. It's 3 ribs back. You line it up right there. after you center your rack. I don't have pliers here. I've moved it a little bit, but anyway, right there, there's an alignment mark. Can we see that? I think you can. And you line it up with that. That puts it exactly where it was with the rack centered in. So now that we've got that, I'm going to stop, slide the rack up into the vehicle, pick back up, bolting it in, new tie rods on each side, replacing the outer tie rods, part number from Napa. The performer number left and right are different. It's a 169-3-582, and then we got the other side, we got a 169-3583. So we'll pick back up in just a second. Okay, first things, the steering gear is in. Right there is the knuckle slid down on the rack and pinion. I've started the lines. I'm going to see if I can get a better angle. Okay, I'm just holding the camera. There's the nipple. There's the line. Start it. That's that 14 millimeter. You're going to start it in there. Okay, after you get that started in and you get your bolt up through your rack, up in there with those 10 millimeters that I have to start in the bracket, your other 10 up through. Right there is that wiring harness for that power steering switch. Let me get a hold of it. Sorry. Well, sorry about the shakiness, guys. Where is it? All right, right there. Okay, there. And plug it back in. I am going to tighten all this up and then pick back up from there. All right, so we've panned out a little bit. Here's the driver's side. Now that everything in there is tight, you're going to move your sway bar down. All right, move your sway bar down and place it in there. Now you got your 17 right there. You might have to hold the back side. We will. This is the side that was stripped on the inside, so I just have to hold it a little bit with vice grips and tighten it up. Do the same thing on the other side. Now we've got that. We'll do the other side in a little bit, but now we're going to work on, whoa, didn't know my light fell in our way. Right there, the nut's on. We got to put our tie rod on. Counted the turns when I took that off. It was 15 on this side, 16 on the other side. So let's put this on. All right. I would do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to put the tie rod in here, tighten it up, put my tires on, and then go up top. We'll pick up at the top section.